Welcome back, folks. We're going to get in. I'm actually we missed our guest for this half hour, but I'm actually okay with that because it allows us a little extra time with our next guest. Terri Zimmerman is coming on our show, and for those that don't know Terri, a little bit of background. Terri is the CEO of a business called Packet Digital, also Badland Batteries. I had the opportunity to cross paths with Terri a number of years ago, kind of along the lines as being a part of some of my legislative duties. And at that time, I believe Terri just had Packet Digital down on South University, just south of 32nd Avenue. And since that time, her business has grown. And so I'll shut up a little bit. Terri, are you with us?
Yes. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, and thanks for coming on the show. And I just find this intriguing. That's one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on the show. I just don't know if people in the Fargo-Moorhead community understand what kind of a hidden gem this business and this industry is. For people that don't know, I mean, the Red River Valley has become, some people have referred to it as the Silicon Valley of UAS, which is unmanned or uncrewed aerial systems. And Terri, you're right in the middle of this with both Packet Digital and Badland Batteries. Would you do me a favor and just kind of give us a brief overview of how you started, where you're at now, and what direction you're moving in?
Great. Well, thank you, and thanks for having me on the show this morning. And I appreciate your leadership in the state of North Dakota as a legislator and your voice. You've always been an advocate for small business and energy, so I appreciate you having me on the show. Yes, when we first met, I believe you stopped by as a legislator and were interested in a tour we were providing, and we had Packet Digital at the time, and we had, I believe, just moved to South University. So we were founded in Fargo in 2003 as a power electronics company focusing on engineering services, but we were building in the early days really small but powerful technology. There were tiny power management chips where all the power flowed through this like barely 5 millimeter wide chip. And so we were kind of obsessed with efficiency and reliability. But around 2014, there was really an inflection point where we saw the world changing around power, electrification, and autonomy. There was sort of this new expectation about what a system could actually do. And it felt like one of those moments where you could keep doing what you're doing, optimizing what you already know, or step back and sort of ask that bigger question, where do we go from here? And while these industries were really unproven, we jumped in, and as we saw electrification, autonomy converging, we saw power as the catalyst, and we began developing batteries for autonomous system, and that's really what sort of drives us today. And so at Packet Digital, we design and manufacture advanced batteries and power management solutions for autonomous systems. So think things like drones or other unmanned platforms that might be operating in the air, or satellites in space, other systems on land, and even submersibles in underwater environments. And we've created another subsidiary, Badland Batteries, where we're also bringing battery cell manufacturing to the United States. We're helping to build...
Terri, I want to stop you there because I have a great appreciation for your story, and I'm going to let you get back to it. But also, I just want to emphasize what Terri just talked about. We're talking about power supply systems for aerial, for satellite. We're talking outer space here. We're talking submersible in the ocean. I mean, the number of different uses that this manufacturing platform right here in Fargo, North Dakota, supplies power and propulsion to. It's incredible, and you speak of it, Terri, because in many ways in a matter of fact way. But I just want our listeners to understand how this impacts. And one of the things that you got to right before I cut you off, and I'm going to let you get back to it, is how important manufacturing in the United States is, especially under this current administration. They are making a very, 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 concerted effort to say we want United States manufactured propulsion. And I will be honest, I voted for a bill this past session to get rid of all Chinese-made drones under the control of North Dakota government, and we were one of the cutting edge states to do that. And what that means is when we're getting rid of that, we need U.S. production. So I'm going to let you get back to what you were talking about, but I want people to understand. And sometimes I just say, explain it so an idiot like me can understand, Terri. And so in 101 manner, I just want you to continue. And I want people to understand really what we're talking about and what's taking place right here in our backyard. And you've expanded production from your South University location up to your 7th Avenue location just west of I-29, and now your Badland Battery factory that's getting closer and closer to completion just north of 12th Avenue west of I-29. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to jump in on some of those things. And if there's one thing I can do for our listeners, Terri, I can dumb things down. So I'll let you continue.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And, batteries are hard. It's, not like you go to Home Depot and, buy a AA battery and put it in a drone. So, thanks for sharing that information. And, these are different platforms with different types of requirements. And like you said, it's not, just building a battery. It's, we've been really looking at the overall supply chain, and, we're trying to bring all that manufacturing into Fargo, into our facilities. So in about 2022, we made the decision to start raising funds and working on a strategy to start building the battery cells themselves in Fargo. So we could really have that secure domestic supply chain that you're referring to. And so not only are we creating jobs, and we're really addressing a national security priority by building these battery cells right here in Fargo. And so we're creating a new workforce, growing engineering talent, and we're incorporating North Dakota natural resources wherever possible.
And Terri, thanks for addressing that. And we're going to get close to a break here. And when we come back in the back half of our final hour, I want you to expand on that, because you talked about your workforce. You have very good paying jobs. You've grown your workforce, and I want you to expand on that when we come back after the break, because this is really interesting stuff, and I want our listeners to understand this is right in our backyard, and the level of production, the level of ingenuity is incredible. I can't wait to finish our talk in the back half of this hour. We'll be back. And we're back. We're headed into the last half hour. Criminy, Addison. This thing flies by.
It does every day.
Yeah, and it always helps when I bring a bunch of people on who are way smarter than me, including you, who just kind of guide me through this whole thing. But I'm grateful for our first hour guest, just talking about some local issues when it comes to the mayoral election, law enforcement, things along those lines. And now we had an opportunity to kind of broach the topic of some really high-level technology that's taking place right in Fargo. And Terri Zimmerman from Packet Digital, Badland Batteries, is our guest, and she's sharing some information. And I always, like I've said, I have to be the filter at times. I just tell her to try to dumb it down to my level. But Terri, you've talked about, kind of this battery manufacturing, the type of digital technology that you're dealing with. Well, I want people to understand you have, and I want to make sure I'm not speaking out of school, but you have some contracts with some really, really important people. Can you dive into that a little bit for us?
Yes, we work with a wide range of customers. We work with companies that are really looking for reliable electric power. While we work with many defense customers, we also are working across many different industries, whether it's emergency response, delivering of medical deliveries, public safety, infrastructure inspection. But we have recently won some pretty significant federal and defense contracts
Yes.
As a result of this new facility we're building, we are winning some significant procurement contracts to deliver batteries to Air Force, Navy, Army, Special Operations Command.
Well, and that's what I wanted you to kind of share, because I didn't want to speak out of turn, but we're talking about Department of Defense contracts. We're talking about national security. We're talking about doing this, from a company that's based in the United States, right here in Fargo, North Dakota, and there's not a lot of people in this specific industry across the world. Am I mistaken on that, Terri?
Right. One of the unique things that we're doing is, I believe we'll be the first company doing end-to-end manufacturing around batteries and battery packs in the unmanned platform space. So you'll be able to come to Packet Digital, and we'll design a system, understand your power requirements, design that system, and we'll manufacture everything from the cells all the way to the pack itself. And so that's going to be very unique, that people will be able to work with our electrical engineers, have the system designed, and then also work with our electrochemists and have chemistries altered and adjusted to meet the specific requirements of the drone. And one of the interesting things about our technology, and I know I mentioned this before when we were speaking, we combine high performance in our batteries. So if you're operating a satellite or a drone, you want that to be able to either be in space or be on its mission for a long time, so it provides that long endurance. But one of the unique things that we do is we also combine burst power, so you're able to lift heavy payloads. For some of our Navy customers, the requirement is to lift 100 pounds and fly for 400 nautical miles with no person to, change the battery at any point during that flight. So it kind of defies the laws of physics to be able to have that kind of burst power.
Well, I want to reiterate now, Terri. I'm going to interrupt for you because I always say, all right, it's time for me to dumb things down. You just talked about lift 100 pounds, fly for 4 hours, correct? That you just said that.
400 nautical miles.
400 nautical miles. Okay, 400 miles, lift 100 pounds. This is battery power, folks. This is batteries that are attached to the drone. And when I know when I had conversations with Terri in the past, I said, what I equate when you talk about burst power, I'm talking about, we equate this to 0 to 60 in a car. How much power can you apply, and then how long can you sustain it? And these are things that national defense contractors are counting on to operate effectively. It's manufactured right here in Fargo, North Dakota, and it's designed by Fargo, North Dakota engineers, and it's put into use at the highest of levels, national security. So I'll go back and I'll say I apologize for interrupting. I just wanted to do my little translation, and I'll let you continue.
Right, and to put it in perspective, how big of a deal that is some of the drones that we're building power systems for, they're using 60 to 80 kilowatts of power on takeoff and landing, and that's the power consumption of over 60 homes. So that's a tremendous amount of burst power that we need to provide out of our systems, and then turn around and fly that system for another 400 nautical miles. We're providing really high performance systems, and at the same time, we really focus on safety. We build what's called a battery management system that goes into every power system. So it's got the intelligence and the safety. It's always managing current voltage temperature, making sure that battery is always staying in a safe environment, and so that the operator can also make smart decisions about its mission, knowing what the status of the power is on each drone.
Well, and I appreciate that because you manufacture the batteries, but you talked about a battery management system. Each cell or each package has its own management system. Is that correct?
Right. It's like a tiny little computer that's flying on every battery.
And the reason I asked that, Terri, is because we'll go back to the videos we see. Everybody sees on occasion this Tesla car that's driving down the road, and all of a sudden the battery has an issue. Now, if you have a ton of batteries all stored together and you don't have a management system on them, they could all be in grave danger if something went wrong with one of them. But with these management systems, that allows you to conserve or safely manage each pack of batteries without compromising all of them in a storage facility. Is that a safe assessment, and you can tell me if I'm saying it in a really dumb manner?
Yes. Yeah, that's an excellent point. And not only do we have the battery management system that goes on every battery, if you're a big user of drones, so if you have 10 drones on a ship, let's say, then you probably have hundreds of batteries. So I'm sure people have the experience of power tools, and you have a bunch of batteries sitting around. And in the drone environment, sometimes people will even take a little Sharpie and mark on the battery every time they fly it. So once they get to so many Sharpie marks, they quit flying it. But we've developed software that manages that entire fleet of batteries. So they plug that into our charging system, and they just go to our portal, log in their mission, and we tell them what batteries to take, and we do predictive battery health analysis, so no more Sharpie marks. We tell them when to retire those batteries out of the fleet and make sure that they always have a good battery for their mission. And they can also then fly that battery down to its margin, so you're not guessing what kind of degradation the battery has, because we all know that the more you use a battery, the longer, that gets a little bit shorter in terms of its ability to fly it or use it in its mission. But we tell them exactly how long they can fly with that battery, and takes the guesswork completely out of it.
Well, I really appreciate that description, that explanation, because and there might be people out there going, what are we talking about? And I love the topic, just because I just want to emphasize, we're talking about national security usage. We're talking about Department of Defense. These batteries, this is the day and age that we're in. People understood how impactful drones are at every doggone level. I mean, if people wanted to get back into understanding what's taking place in Iran, I don't care if you agree with it or if you don't, but I guarantee you drone usage saves lives, because we do not put people in compromising positions. And we're talking about a manufacturer right here in Fargo, North Dakota, that's doing it at the highest level, and doing it at a time where our population wants U.S.-made products, and you're providing high-quality jobs. Tell me about your workforce growth, where you started, where you're at, and where you're hoping to get to when it comes to the manufacturing side of things on the workforce side.
Yeah, thanks for asking that. When I talked about, when we started out, when we made the decision to go into this market and start building batteries, we were about 13 people in the Radisson Tower. There's actually offices above the hotel space in the Radisson, and we've expanded dramatically since then. As you mentioned, we were on university. Then as we sort of started addressing this national security issue that you referred to, we started really looking at country of origin on all of the parts on our smart battery management systems. And we purchased a surface mount technology line so we could make our own circuit boards, pick and place those. So that's when we opened up our manufacturing facility on 7th Avenue North. And so we started hiring more and more manufacturing experts, manufacturing engineers, and really controlling that country of origin. And now we're going to be going online with Badland Batteries, our cell plant this year. We're hiring another 35 people there. We've got about 70 team members now building battery packs, and now we're hiring another 35 to make the cells. So we're hiring electrochemists, production engineers, quality engineers, We're also just opened up an R&D center on 12th Avenue North, a research and development center, where our vision is that we'll be working with faculty from the university and bringing students into the new R&D center, where we'll be training students on how to develop new chemistries. So not only in the R&D center will we be developing the chemistries that are going into production now, we'll be working on the chemistries for the next 5 to 10 years.
I think that's fantastic, Terri. I really appreciate that explanation. We're gonna break, and I'm gonna bring you back for the very last segment, and we'll be able to wrap this up. But you broached the subject. You've worked with both of our R1 institutions, North Dakota State University and UND. I want you to maybe just address that when we come back after the break. Thank you so much, and we'll be right back on the Steve Hallstrom Show. And we are back. Last segment. Almost 2 hours has flown by. Valley Christian Counseling phone line, 701-271-1100. The text line, same number, 701-271-1100. We did get a text message, and I'll relay that to you, Terri, just a second. And then you can email us, studio@flagfamily.com. Addison, producing this show, guiding me through everything, does a great job. One of the text messages we got, and I want to get back to a topic that I addressed briefly right before the break, Terri, but the text message I got, and I'm not going to try to answer it, I'm just going to provide an observation, and I'll let you answer it. It says, where was circuit board machine made? I'm assuming that means where was the circuit board machine made? I know I have toured your facility. I know you guys do a lot of your own construction, but I'm going to let you answer that question. I'm assuming there's maybe some, was it made in China type thing, maybe initiating the text message, but I'll let you address that.
Yeah, thanks for asking. And the surface mount technology line is a pick and place machine where before that, we were buying our own parts and then we kit them up and we send them to a third party and then they would pick and place the components onto the circuit boards for us. And so by buying our own surface mount technology line, we were able to control the country of origin, timeline, and quality better. And so if our customers want a change, we can quickly do that. The machine that we bought is from, I think the original origin of it might have been Japan. And but they service it here locally as well, and they've been a great collaborator. But it's a really good question from the community, and we are addressing national security, and you mentioned that earlier. A lot of the batteries today come from China.
Correct.
In our space, in the drone space, about 95% of the batteries come out of China, and about 85% of the critical components. So what we're doing in Fargo here and building this industry from end to end, all the way from building the packs to building the cells, is really important because it addresses the vulnerability that we have in our country where this new industry is evolving, and the only place to get the batteries is primarily out of China. So we're standing up that capability here in Fargo.
Well, I appreciate you addressing that, and that was a great answer to our texter's question, and it matters to you. It resonates with you, and so it's something that you have looked at. I have one more text, and I want you to get into working with both NDSU and UND. One more text just came in. Has Packet Digital gone public yet?
No, we have not gone public yet. We have been supported by local investors, and we haven't explored a public market yet. We really want to stand up this new factory, the new Badland Batteries cell factory. We have got our other factories profitable. Now we have this new factory to get up and running. And as you asked earlier, we've already secured some pretty significant contracts for that. I think pursuing the public market is something that we could possibly do in the future.
Well, I appreciate you answering that. I just wanted to get that question in. And I think you've done a great job of describing the industry. Let's broach a little bit. We're getting close to the end. How have you worked with NDSU, and not only NDSU, but UND?
Yes, we definitely work very closely with both NDSU and UND. We've actively invested in education, research, and workforce development by supporting universities through endowments. We're also funding the new NDSU microelectronics lab that's going into the new engineering school. We've been providing matching research dollars, so we're doing some collaborative research with the university at UND. We're working on creating a chemistry using local materials. We're working with a company, Wellspring Hydro, that's extracting lithium carbonate from the wastewater of oil fields in North Dakota. And then we're also utilizing nickel from the nickel processing plant in North Dakota. And then we're extracting 2 rare earth elements from lignite coal and adding very small amounts of those into new chemistry. So this is funded research right now, and that we're currently working on this. And we really see could be a significant advantage to localized supply chain. But we're really been important for us to stand up this new research and development center on 12th Avenue North. Mm-hmm. We want this to be a center for students to help train a new workforce in North Dakota around electrochemistry, around manufacturing here in North Dakota.
Terri, I just want to say thanks for coming on and dumbing things down to my level. This is really great. It's interesting for people to see. Get up and see these facilities. Go out and ask questions. Reach out to Packet Digital or Badland Batteries. This is fantastic stuff going on in our backyard, and I'm so grateful that you were willing to come on and kind of share with the public a little bit about your business.